in Europe. And first of all, before we get started on hearing about some real transformational experiences, I'd like to give the floor to Andrei Bunis from the European Commission's DG GROW, and he will talk to you very briefly about what is the Watify project.
Thank you very much, Ian. Welcome to all of you here today. Very briefly, Watify is a program that aims to showcase the successes of businesses, European businesses, in particular SMEs, that have adopted advanced technologies. We've seen yesterday we had another event organized for the program itself, the Watify event, where we showcased, we put in front these businesses. Some of them are here with us today. In brief, just very few short figures, one of the issues in Europe is that although we have a very performant research sector and a very performant manufacturing sector, especially in large businesses, large companies like the automotive industry and so on, we are somehow lagging when it comes to the uptake of technologies by the small businesses, small and medium enterprises. To counteract that and to support the businesses who have actually dared to go forward to make these steps, we are organizing this Watify program, and I'm very pleased to welcome here today some of the Europe's businesses which are most advanced in new technologies. Welcome, and now I pass the floor on to the esteemed colleagues of the panel.
No, you don't. So, this is a participatory session, and I would like briefly to explain to you how we've organized it, because it's not only the panelists who get to work today, you get to work as well. And what we've done is we've put some colored cards on your chairs. So if you've sat down on it, have a look at the color you're sitting on, and I'll tell you what those colors mean. What we would like to invite you to do is to listen with a particular focus to these stories. So you will get 5 stories of transformation in small businesses in Europe. And if you have a red piece of paper on your chair, like this, we'd like you to listen for challenges on the way. So what obstacles did the team meet in terms of doing what it was they set out to do? So that's if you have a red card on your chair, please listen for obstacles. Now, if you have a yellow card on your chair, please listen to the actual transformation process. So what were their breakthroughs? What kind of technological development did you notice? What was the innovation? How did it come about? So process and type of development in the company. Resources, if you have a blue card. And resources is about people. So how did you get the essential people on board? How did you mobilize the necessary resources? And resources being finance or permissions or patents or land or buildings or whatever it was you needed to do what you had to do. If you're sitting on a green card, we'd like you to listen for measurement. How did they actually measure the outcomes of their transformation process? What were the KPI? What were the mechanisms? What did they use to be sure to learn that they had moved to a new phase in whatever process they were engaged in? And finally, if you're sitting on orange, I'd invite you to listen to lessons learned. So this is about the main learnings of the team. You know, what did they learn together about creating transformation, and was some of that learning transferable to other spheres? I guess is the real question. So those are the threads: the reds challenges, the yellows transformation process, the blue resources, the green measuring of outcomes, and the orange lessons learned. And this is the filter we'd like you to apply to your listening. Now, when we've heard all the 5 stories, we'll invite you to get together with the other people who have the same color. Just form a little group, turn your chairs around, and have a discussion on what did you actually hear. So what did you hear on the way? And if you want to take notes on your cards or whatever medium, you can of course do that. And so have a sharing. between you after the stories, and then we'll hear from you what you got out of your listening afterwards. So that's the setup of today, and I think with that we can move on to the actual stories, and we can invite our first storyteller to tell a story. And I think we'll invite Stijn to start. So you'll get a microphone here.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Stijn Switten. I'm the chairman of a group called Food Associates. We're basically active in food processing, and our specialty for the bakery, but also for other activities, is that we are premium. We make use of artisanal know-how in order to make products and to put them onto the market. So, but the difficulty in our field is that we have to scale real artisan knowledge. And that's a very difficult thing to do. It's not so easy. It's a long way. And it's a process that basically has to run throughout the company with everyone involved, staff, in the offices, engineering staff, but also the people on the floor. And the first challenge was to scale our production, because in a very short period of time we really became very popular with our products, and we had to face huge demand. And in our bakery, the knowledge was based on a couple of people, and the challenge was scaling that. So how did we do that? First of all, to get the right team together, the right people with the right cross-functional knowledge. That means that I always had a policy in getting out there in the market and look for the best people possible. People with experience, but also people that just left university with fresh ideas. And the first thing we did in scaling was designing really special custom-made production lines that basically helped our bakers in this case to do the repetitive things. So we took them out of their hands, so that they could only focus on where they could add value with their specific knowledge. That was the first thing. The second thing was to put everything, together, big data, and to do something with this big data. And in capturing data, it was on specific production lines, but also on ovens, you name it. We really came to surprising results, and then of course you have to construct. You have to find out formulas in order to interpret this big data. So this really helped us in parameterizing more than 90% of the specific knowledge skills, which until then were quite artisan, because you have to know the way we make bread. Elements like temperature outside can be of influence, because we make it completely the natural way, without any artificial tools, without any artificial ingredients to compensate, failures. So that's out of the question. So those big data, and these are really important. Then another thing, and I think that's the thing we're most proud of. That's that we were faced with a lot of different types of bread, a lot of customers that had to be delivered, and we managed ourselves to develop software to organize our order picking in supply chain, completely different from what was shown before and what was available on the market. And this activity, which ran very good in our company. So afterwards became a completely new business. We had a lot of press attention from it. And then, yeah, people, big companies, they were interested in that technology because it wasn't just available on the market. And so a year and a half ago, we decided to establish a new company. And this new company is a software company. So sometimes an innovation and an idea leads to a completely new business. And this new business, and I'm besides a food producer, I'm now a software head of a software company as well, and which is basically selling its software to the big players in the market. So to the national, we have clients like the US Post, the French Post, big e-commerce companies, automotive companies. So, but it all started at a very traditional product. And that it makes it a fabulous journey. So,
thank you very much, Stijn. So the next story is from Nerea, who is sitting next to you. So you would pass it that way, please. And let's hear your story. You have 5 minutes from now.
5 minutes, okay. Well, my name is Nerea Sopelana, and I am working in Trimek. And Trimek is a company.
Hold it a little close.
Ooh. Okay, close. Okay, I will try. Yeah, so I start. Okay. My name is Nerea Sopelana, and I am working in Trimek. It's a company which is located in the Basque Country, and we are specialized in the dimensional metrology business sector. And some years ago, we decided that we have to evolve. And in that period of time, we are using a measurement by contact probes. It means that to guarantee the quality of the products, we have to measure the quality of the products with the contact of the element. So horrible, yeah. So nowadays we realize that the geometrical complexity of the parts, of the manufacturer parts, are increasing, and we have some difficulties to guarantee the quality of that manufacturer parts. And we have developed the OptiScan first. This is our first technological development, and this is OptiScan, and this is a dimensional optical sensor, and this guarantees the quality control of the part without any kind of contact. And we have to use the data acquired in a software which is called M3. This is the second technological development, and with this software we can use the data acquired to elaborate a digital twin of the scanned mechanical component of an airplane, a car, or whatever. And I think that it's everything. So something. Yes. So I am going to check. We have realized that with this new technological development, we have obtained some benefits which are related to the quality of the productivity, because we have reduced we have made our scheduled tasks faster. We have reduced the idle time, and finally we have reduced the life cycle cost that related to the manufacturer parts. So I think that it's all. If you have, yeah, that's all. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Thank you.
Thank you so much. That was amazingly quick. I'd like to invite Michael now to talk about the Bächer Bergmann.
Yes, hello. My name is Michael Behr from Bächer Bergmann GmbH. We have a small carpentry or cabin wood workshop, and in our case, we are passionate in building things, bringing ideas or imaginations or visions of us or of our clients to life. And we have two separate ways to manage this. On the one hand, we are a traditional carpentry with many handcrafts, and on the other way, other side, we have many digital production methods and scripting and computer-aided design and computer-aided machining. And our challenge is to bring those both together to have a quite good workflow. One challenge we always have to deal with is the preparation of the big data, not of the big data, of the data. Our passion is what gives us satisfaction is to produce something, and that's not only real sculptures or furniture or something you can test, but also produce scripts or macros or yes, scripts, which helps us to have yes, a nice workflow. A special thing at us is if you see in history, handcraft is a one-of-a-kind thing and not a mass production. And our strength is to make one-of-a-kind production economical again, because our production process is mainly digital, and so we lower the cost like this. And yes, I don't know what to say next. That's all, yes.
Thank you very much, Michael. So the next one is Spas, if you'd pass it along.
Thank you. I'm trying to give you a success story full of failure, actually. But first, I will raise the question: have you ever thinking that science can make us immortal? Have you been thinking about that science have to solve this prosaic technical
Sorry,
problem?
Spaz, please hold it right in front of your mouth.
Ah, okay, sorry. So, have you been dreaming or thinking that science can solve this prosaic technical problem, death? That was the main topic in my mind when I was a medical student and when I started doing science. And that was the keen interest that provoked me to start this that I'm going to explain you now. By a coincidence or not, 2 years ago, my colleague Vanyo came to me. Actually, he's in the foyer in a big black cube where he can show you what is Printivo doing. But 2 years ago, he came to me and told me...
Spaz, in front.
Sorry. Okay. He came to me and told me, would you like to start bioprinting some organs? And at that time, we both were part of an NGO dealing with educational programs and research. But we were not experts in bioprinting. None of us was even thinking about bioprinting will be our main domain of working. But we started. We started as self-educated scientific geeks, probably. And since then, an adventure for us started, and this adventure is called Printivo. This is our startup who is dealing with 3D bioprinting. And in the beginning, we started with a few big failures. So which was it that we, as medical students, started drafting business plans, which was a complete failure because 80 pages written by medical students in the field of business was a disaster. But we didn't know that, and we were thinking that if we accomplish this, we will gain it. We will start printing organs and everything will be good. In 2 years, we will have a liver or something like this. It was a total failure, and we also gathered a team of high professionals, big names across academia, but they were not that motivated in working in a startup. And that's why it was the biggest failure again, because the team was the most important part of our work, and we understood this when we lose it. So the first team was a failure, the business plan was a failure, so what are we going to do now? We didn't have any bioprinter or bioink and none organs already. So we continue to strive and overcome this perplexing complexity here in Bulgaria without a big talent pool for people who are capable of bioprint. And in that moment, when your road is based on self-motivation, it's really easy to lose faith and to get despaired about what you're going to do. So we were stick to each other because me and Vanyu are genuine friends, and this was above all the bond that was the glue between us to continue this. And maybe after a year after the idea was born, we were just talking. We are going to bioprint, we are going to create organs, everything will be good, but that wasn't the case. But after a year after this amazing idea, we found the right people. And this was the main challenge, the team. The right people weren't in front of us. They weren't in academia, universities. They were in co-working spaces, actually. We found them in alternative place for talent. And that's how it started. Since then, we've got constructed our bioprinter, which is happened to called Eve, and our bioink called Adam. And maybe 3 months later, we find an investor. And now we are trying to penetrate a very difficult, tight, and complex market. But probably we are ready for it because we've already had a lot of failures instead of winning. So that's the case now. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And Georgi.
Thanks. Quite nice. We're more practical. I'm not in the health. I'm a lawyer, but I'm not charging today. Don't worry. Lawyers have several qualities. One of them is to speak too much. So I try to stick to the timing. Others, they are very lazy. You know, I have during my work of a lawyer, I have created hundreds of thousands of pages to my clients, hundreds of thousands of pages. I was very upset when I had to go to the court because I was lazy, you know. And not only to the court, when I have to go to the bank, so I have to go to the insurance company, to the telecom operator. I really, it's really sick. It really sucked. I mean, I couldn't do this any longer. So I was thinking, why is there is no way to do this remotely? I want to do everything remotely. I want to identify myself remotely. I want to sign all papers remotely. I want to deliver any document remotely. I want to certify the timing, what has to be done now, but to have everything to have a legal value. So this was my dream, and that's how things started. I became an IT lawyer, and several years from now, it's 3 years from now, we have created a special technology instrument that makes it legal. Completely remote identification, completely remote signing of contracts, completely remote delivery of messages with the same legal value as it is delivered by registered mail, everything from the mobile device with one click of a button. It is a true, in our opinion, game changer, because you can imagine a client of a bank to be able to open a bank account with one click of a button, one click to request his credit card, being virtual or plastic, to sign the insurance policy, not to go to the telecom operator, just to do this remotely with one click or one show of the face. So that's how we created a technology to have this. We were lucky that the European Commission read our minds and created a special regulation in called Regulation 910, or ADAS. It's called Regulation on Electronic Identification and Trust Services in the European market. So to obtain the possibility to certify these facts in the digital world, which are available in the paper-based world, you have to have a special company, which is our company called Evrotrust, and that's what we do. So our tool was delivered to the market just 3 months ago, and already one of the biggest banks in Europe are already our clients. Insurance companies, leasing companies, they are now ready to offer to the market one-click opening of a bank account straight from the mobile device. So we think that this is kind of a good tool that will be available to all of us because it's in our pocket. So that's all I was about to say. Of course, I'll be happy to answer any questions.
Great, thank you very much, Georgi. So that was the panel doing the work. And now we get to the part where you do the work. So please have a look at your color, and if we could just have the color code slides up again, just to remind everyone. The reds, challenges, the yellows, the process, the blue, the resources, the green, the measuring of outcomes, and the orange, the lessons learned. So please form a little group with people who are sitting on the same color. Just move the chairs, pull them up in a little circle, or however you're comfortable, turn them around. And then I'd ask you to discuss for the next 20 minutes or so, well, what was it really? What were the challenges? What were the processes and so on? And arrive at some form of consensus on that. And when we are about 20 minutes in, we'll give you 4 post-its to agree on what were the 4 most important things in your area. And then we'll see what the outcomes are from everyone. So please go ahead and have a discussion among the people with the same colored card. So to help you, who has blue? Please hold it up. So please make a little group. And those who have red, please make a little group. Those who have green, and so on. You know what to do.
Cool, thanks. I'll be mingle and just see how they do and how they feel about it.
here's where you're. Dear participants, I think we have to focus on your outcomes. I see two people writing frantically. Keep doing that, please. And everybody else, please turn your chairs around so you can see the front of the room again. And we'll try and hear what you all got out of it. So the transformation process is, where did that go? So.
This is the first one, challenges,
Yes.
and then transformation.
Yeah, but who had, okay, so the yellows are here. Good.
Red ones are, which side? The red ones are there.
So we're just missing the resources. Please put them up on the board. So if you could agree among yourselves who would like to present for the red team on the challenges. You'll have 2 minutes to explain what were the challenges you heard and that you agreed the 4 challenges that you thought were the most important. So who would like to present for 2 minutes on that? You get your own microphone. Where's the red team? Are they all hiding? Thank you.
So we were listening and trying to see what were the challenges and discussing. And we concluded there were more than these 4, but we tried to summarize. So one was matching tradition and technology. We heard from startups that they had the challenge of, for I don't know, one example was traditional carpentry and matching with technology. The second one was qualified team. The team was a challenge for everybody and for all startups. Having a good, qualified, coherent team is something that they all want to have, and it's challenging. Another one was how to scale up. So scaling up production and having sort of way to use the idea of a startup to be efficient. Time and mobilization, to have it timely delivered, and the last one. So that was we had even bigger discussion, but that was.
Thank you very much. So that was the red team on challenges. Now, team yellow on transformation. I see we have a willing victim. Here you go. You have 2 minutes.
So we were the yellow team.
So hold it closer to your mouth.
And so we summarized our discussion, and the first one was that development came from education and experience. So this ties in, all of them tie together quite nicely. So education and experience also linked to the mistakes that were made. So the innovations and the breakthroughs came from learning what didn't work and then going back to the drawing board and finding a different approach. So innovation comes from your experience and also the mistakes that happen. Also, we thought that all the examples showed a willingness to try something new, and that led to innovation and ultimately transformation. So staying with tradition, but also seeing how to extend that further, and the willingness to try it even though it hadn't been tested yet. And finally, it links to the people that were involved in each example. So having the right team and finding the right people. So again, maybe making a mistake with the first people chosen and then finding the correct team afterwards was what ultimately led to the right brains cooperating and resulting in the innovations and breakthroughs.
Thank you very much. And let's hear from the resource corner. You get to, or are you not quite ready yet? In which case we'll skip resources for the moment and take measurement. So measuring of outcomes. The green team. You have 2 minutes on how they measured their outcomes.
Yes. We were given only 4 posts, so we had to select because the outcomes were more than 4. But I would like to start from the last one, because in my opinion, we heard something behind the lines. The last example spoke about some bad results at the beginning. And one of these bad results was due to the fact that academic people did not believe to the project. So innovation is open mind. We heard this this morning, and we have an example. Who is using the old algorithms, the old way of thinking, sometimes does not understand the innovation. And I was especially hit by this example. Of course, then we have traditional outcomes like better quality, the reduction of times, reduction of costs, and so on. And this was a common denominator among all the examples that we heard. Another outcome, very interesting in my opinion, came from the lawyer. Because if you can do everything remotely, it means that you are using trustable technologies. Otherwise, you cannot move money, you cannot move data of your customers. And so innovation also means trustful technologies. And they are available because you are demonstrating that you are using them. And of course, the last one is a minimal value product. What we mean that, for instance, the bakery could transfer the know-how they have about the product into products which are customized. So the experience, the ability to produce something manually is now transferred in an innovative way in products which are accepted by the market. And the demonstration of this is that they even open a software house. So it's a trend that demonstrates how innovation can make your know-how, your knowledge into some new algorithm that will give products that are accepted by the market.
Thank you so much. And is the blue team ready, or shall we move on to orange first? We'll take the orange. So on lessons learned, you have 2 minutes.
Okay.
You're hitting, your reputation is being hit over there.
I will do it very slowly, so you can. Okay, I will try to be simplified. Some of the things that we've been discussing in our group for lessons learned has already been told, but here we represent 4 of the main. We had a couple of them more, but 4 of the main conclusions. First of all, that innovation comes from failures. That is something that the panelists have learned, in some cases more explicitly, but I think, and that's have the feeling that some of the others also know that and have experience maybe in a lower level, but the conclusion is that do not take failure too seriously and continue on working. The second one is that the team is very relevant. The word team has come up also in some of the speakers. And most of all is, from our perspective, is the leadership for transformation. There has to be a leader. There has to be, normally it's 1 person or 2 with a vision, and they just conduct that vision and that passion into the rest of the team. And I think that is something that we learned from what we heard. That open-mindedness is an imperative for businesses. That is open-mind. Also, again, some other groups were saying about that. That is very, very important. And I think that all of the panelists have also learned that is the way of doing new things. And what is this? That lady's writing. I can't read.
Now.
If you could, please.
I mean, really.
The digital single market. So that there is no digital single market yet in place, because there are actually differences in national level that still exist under several aspects, not only digital but also other aspects of the single market. And finally, not enough investors. It's very often that European companies go to the US or go to Asia because they don't find European investments. So we were discussing about investments.
Thank you very much. And that ties in really neatly with our last competitors in the competition for who posts it first. You have 2 minutes on resources.
So I happen to be the natural resource here. So we had a bit of a fuzzy face defining what we are trying to achieve on this one. So we selected 4 main pillars for what we see as the resources, let's say. And then we tried to split them into the phases, and we said there's stage 1 and stage 2, and what happens in these stages then. So I'll start with the first one. That's the functional and operational knowledge. So this really refers to more the expertise and whatever know-how you collect. And the stage 1 will refer to from the moment you have the idea until you can get to a proof of concept, let's say. Okay, so until you can stage this. So that will be stage 4 balance. And here, what you want to do with the functional and operations knowledge is creating a stage plan for how to share the knowledge to form a cross-functional team. So that you can really identify what kind of skill set and expertise you need. Okay. And then for the stage 2, of course, you would then focus on expanding and developing this team to a much larger scale. The next one will be the facilities. So we call that facilities. And for stage 1, we keep it for the prototyping and the demo scale. So whatever you need to pass the proof of concept phase, the facilities will be maybe lab equipment and those kind of things that you can just utilize around you, so it's much smaller. And for the stage 2, you will need much broader means like infrastructure, getting into mass production or however serial production that you want to go into. The third one, the obvious one, is the financing one. So for stage 1, you need to find someone who's going to fund you for your proof of concept. Or if you're able to do that yourself, that's great. That was an idea. This mainly happens in the public public domain for the stage 1 funding, and for the stage 2, it mostly goes to private partnership that you can really go full stream manufacturing. The last one will be what we called ecosystem. Ecosystem is anything that surrounds you in this whole complicated networking. So the stage 1 is maybe busy with more legal part of the thing. So until you can get the permits and your patents, and so you really focus on your collaboration network, who will be the main actors in moving this to your stage 2. And in the stage 2, you will focus on more the industrial compliance, whether there is one to conform, or if not done, you will form one. So that's it.
Thank you so much. So I'd like now to give our storytellers a chance to react. And basically, I just want to ask you one question, which is, what is the key insight you take away from what you've heard from the people who've listened to your stories? If you don't think you've learned anything, just pass it on. But otherwise, use a minute or two and then pass it down the line, and then it'll end with me eventually.
Okay, I am actually really happy to see that people can see through our glasses, and the most important thing that I've heard here is that innovation can't be, but also must be found in peculiar places, not in common stakeholders in this environment and socio-cultural context of our society. This was really important for me, that everyone grasped the idea that academia is not the only place where you can find innovation. The second one is the vision, and to be a visionary and to express strong leadership is really important to create something. Not the knowledge and know-how, but to express the willing that you are going to gain it. And this is perfect that people came to that conclusion too. The only thing that probably was missing for me was the risk-taking. For me, I think that everyone who starts something new and something that will be part of the future must be a risk taker. Maybe this is a big resource or something, but risk taking is extremely important in our daily activities as creators and entrepreneurs. And thank you very much of the audience to considering our problems and making this nice brainstorm. Thanks.
So from my so from my point, okay, I try to be short. Okay, from my point of view, it's quite useful to hear the same problems and the same objectives than my colleagues, yeah? And I think that it's very useful, because maybe I don't have expressed, but I have had the same problems. Thank you.
Okay, I think, I don't think, but I'm quite sure that innovation comes from, first of all, from a problem, a case that you have, and that you have to try and find solutions for it. And then, of course, I completely agree to the fact that it really requires a very open mind and an open spirit to get into an innovational atmosphere. And I think this is the most important thing. If you don't have this open spirit and this wide look into the world, then innovation will be a very difficult issue. So the open spirit and is one of the most important elements.
It's very interesting. When you go to a consultant, he usually tells you what you know, but you feel happy and pay for it, you know. It's almost same with me. I mean, I'm so happy that the questions that I had in here, whether we are on the right track, what are the challenges, the transformation process, all these things, resources. Actually, it is delivered back as a result from these groups, and gives me a little bit reluctance that we are on the right track. So I'm very happy about these discussions and these meetings. Thank you.
So you shouldn't have paid that consultant.
Oh, yeah.
Yes, for me, I think the point is playing around with things. Don't be afraid of making failures. That's the first thing we're doing. Yes.
Thank you. As a policymaker, first of all, I learned the importance of teamwork, which I also know from us, when we've seen the efforts in presenting the outcomes slides. But you've probably noticed, out of these businesses here, none of them, there are no two in the same field, not even remotely close. Very, very different sectors. We go from businesses that we have not even thought about 5 years ago, like 3D printing of organs, to very classical areas of work, law, which is one of the oldest professions around, and making bread, which is the oldest probably profession around in this room. So passing through carpentry. So we have this here, this huge variety. This, of course, can prove to be a challenge for a policymaker at such a high level as the European Union, that has to go through all this, we have to analyze all these varieties, take into account all these differences. So thank you very much, first of all, for coming here, and then please keep this communication open with us and my colleagues. We very much appreciate it, and it's very useful. Second of all, we are very happy to see that we do something right, because despite these differences, there are these common threads that we are trying to anticipate, and I think we're kind of trying to be on the ball there. The supporting the courage that you have proven, supporting the talent, the seeking for talents. We have initiatives, the new digital skills programs, and we try to anticipate whatever skills you will be looking for in the next few years. We have different support programs, and so we feel that more or less we are on the right path thanks to you. So thank you again. Ian.
And I only have a repetition to add to that. Thank you so much for coming, and thank you so much for participating, and have a great rest of the afternoon.